Welcome to the Truth About Social Ads podcast, where we talk about everything related to social media ads and give you the truth about what's happening in the world of ads.
Hey everybody, Jason Smith here, founder of Spotlight Social Advertising and the host of The Truth About Social Ads, where I sit down with top digital marketers, e-commerce brand owners, and paid social advertising experts to uncover what's really working in social media ads today. If you're looking to scale your business, optimize your ad spend, and stay ahead of the latest trends, you're in the right place. I want to give a special shout out to Dr. Jeremy Wise from Rise 25. He's him and his team have done a great job helping me with my podcast, number one. And number two, just being a friend and a mentor when it comes to podcasting. It's been super awesome. So I wanted to give a shout out to him. And funny enough, today I've got Jeremy on the podcast today of Rise 25, who's done thousands of interviews with successful entrepreneurs and CEOs. And we've flipped the script today, and he's going to be interviewing me again for the second time. But before we get into that, I just want to take a second to thank our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Spotlight Social Advertising. Spotlight Social Advertising is a results-driven digital marketing agency that helps businesses scale with powerful social media advertising. Their expert team crafts highly targeted campaigns that attract the right audience, boost engagement, and drive real conversions. Whether you're a startup looking to build brand awareness or establish a company or an established company aiming for higher return on ad spend, Spotlight leverages data-backed strategies to maximize every dollar. Ready to grow your business with social media advertising? Contact Spotlight Social Advertising today to get started. All right. So Jeremy, how you doing today?
I'm excited because when I selfishly like talking to you because you really are a master at like direct response. I don't know if you'd even say direct response, but like helping people sell more stuff online.
And probably a better way to put it.
And, I get to learn from you, and we're going to talk about a couple examples today. So if you want to sell more stuff, take a notepad out like I have right here. And we're going to start off. And I know you help a lot of different types of companies. This one specifically is in e-commerce in the pet space. I know you've helped, sell high-end programs. I don't know if you want to, while I bring this up, what other type of stuff do you help people sell online?
Oh, man. I mean, we've pretty much done it all. We've done everything from DIY truck bumpers to shoes, apparel, jewelry. To be honest, if you've got a great product and people want to buy it, we can help you grow and scale your business. So, I mean, all over the map. It's funny, and I think I've mentioned this before. I'll just, mention it again really quickly. People come to us, or brands come to us and say, "Oh, have you ever worked with anybody in the pet industry? Or have you ever worked with anybody in the jewelry industry?" And I always just kind of laugh at that question because, when the ins and outs of Meta and how it works and how to get people real results, like, it doesn't really matter what niche they're in. It doesn't matter what industry. It doesn't matter if we've worked with them before. We've gotten great results for tons of different brands, and it's super cool. So just keep that in mind when you're talking to a brand like us or another agency, because it could also be like, if I'm in a certain industry, like, do you really want the same brand running your apparel stuff and then having 10 other brands in the apparel space? That's the kind of a conflict of interest. So just watch out for that when you're talking to these brands. But
we're gonna,
anyways,
it was funny. We're gonna talk about Furry Freshness here, which is a pet product. But last time we were talking a little bit, and there are some things that shocked me. Okay, I know that you don't just do Meta, but you do social advertising. Obviously, that's in your name, Spotlight Social Advertising. That was missed on me, but You were saying there's some interesting platforms that most people don't think about, and one of them being Pinterest. What are some things that people should think about when they're going into selling stuff?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you want to think about your audience and who you're targeting. But Pinterest kind of blew that wide open for us. Pinterest is kind of a silent sleeper. There's not a ton of brands on Pinterest right now, like there are on, let's say, TikTok or Meta. And the reason why I say it surprised me is because I just thought Pinterest was a bunch of like, women looking for ideas for their homes, stuff like that, right? Or like my daughter goes on Pinterest and like, oh, Dad, I was on Pinterest today and I found all these cool ideas for my room, right? So I'm like, but after doing some digging the last few years, the fastest growing demographic on Pinterest are males, like males over 30 years old. And
that is crazy.
Yeah, and when I first, so speaking of that DIY truck bumper company, we were kind of brainstorming one day and like, we got to get you guys not only on Meta but just some different platforms. TikTok really doesn't work because we're talking about like blue collar workers, guys who are welders and fabricators and things like that. And then I talked to our rep at Pinterest and I said, hey, what do you think about this DIY truck bumper? So she did some research, and little did we know there's like this huge welder DIY audience on Pinterest that we had no clue were there. And then next thing you know, we get some ads up and they're like 10xing their ad spend on Pinterest so basically what it is, it's a 200-pound metal bumper that you weld yourself, paint it yourself, and install it on your like heavy duty truck, right? Like, who would have thought they'd be 10xing their ad spend on Pinterest? You know what I mean? And then we have some supplement brands doing great, right? Jewelry brands doing great on Pinterest. So there's a wide variety of e-commerce brands that are really doing super well on Pinterest. And man, the Pinterest is just like, their support is super awesome. We've got our partner manager over there that even meets with clients. Like if a client is doubtful about getting on Pinterest, she will meet with them directly and say, hey, here's your audience. Let me show you how successful we could be on Pinterest. Like Meta doesn't do that, So yeah, super cool. So if you have any questions about Pinterest after the episode, reach out to us and let us know. More than happy to answer any questions anybody has. But
it was you, Jason, that mentioned this. And also I remember I had a guy on my podcast a long time ago that his company is called Pixie Fair. And he averaged around 50 to 60,000 transactions a month. They have downloadable like patterns for like dolls or something. I don't even remember what it was, but I'm like, how are you getting that amount of sales and traffic? And he said, Pinterest. Was a lot. It was I don't know if it was the majority, but it definitely was a huge factor. So don't ignore, as Jason calls, the silent sleeper.
Exactly.
If you have questions, ask them. But
we still don't. Well, I was going to say, we still don't know what's going to go on with TikTok, right? Like TikTok could go away pretty soon. We still don't know exactly what's going on with TikTok yet. We've kind of got an inside track, but no one really knows. So we're hoping it'll stick around, but with the way stuff's going right now, you just don't know. So we'll see. Anyways.
So we'll dig into Furry Freshness and what you did and what you learned from this. And if you're watching the video piece, we're on spotlightsocialadvertising.com. And there's a case studies page, and you can, we're in Furry Freshness here. And we're going to go into, again, we're talking about 6.4 times lift in purchase conversions, 60,000 incremental sales, 1,400 purchase conversions. But this is third-party verified. Do you want to just mention that for a second?
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about that because it's very important. So this is not a case study that we just did ourselves. It's an actual third-party case study directly from Meta or Facebook. And they came to us and said, hey, you're doing some awesome stuff with a few of your clients. We'd love to get a case study going. And they, at the time, they basically said, okay, what are kind of your highest performers? And it took about 6 months for us to go through the entire process. Again, they've got to verify all these numbers, not only within Facebook, but they have a team of data scientists that look all these numbers to make sure that they're accurate, number one, and number two, that they're valid and that they're showing in the back end of Facebook. I probably went through, I don't know, 20 pages of different briefs that we had to fill out. It was pretty complicated. Like, it definitely is not easy to get these case studies published from Meta. So these are actually the brief, and everything you see here are numbers directly from Meta. This is not Spotlight Social saying, hey, we did all this cool stuff, we're going to inflate our numbers, right? Because most agencies tend to do that when they come up with their own case studies. These are all third-party verified numbers, and we can't lie about any of this stuff. And Facebook actually would not even let us put any of this information on our website if it wasn't verified through them. So it's pretty cool. We're proud of these.
Furry Freshness, and what is the product, and then how they found you?
Yeah, so the product is a spray. As you can see, the spray bottle there. If you're watching on video, you can see the spray bottle there on a coffee table. But it's a spray bottle that gets poop and pee or basically any type of bodily fluid from a pet, like a dog or a cat, out of your carpet, anything, mattress. Like, it's super good. Actually, the kind of the funny story behind Furry Freshness is the owner of Furry Freshness, his uncle was like a chemist, and they came up with this solution. No odor, you could drink it, like, it's safe to drink. Actually, it's pretty cool.
I could see a Shark Tank pitch, like, they're up there, right? And they just like chug it, and everyone's like, oh, it's safe for you, I promise.
Yeah. And so his uncle was a chemist, and so they came up with this formula.
By the way, we're not encouraging people to get a bottle and drink it. So
don't buy Furry Freshness and go chug it, But yeah, so cool. So there's some science behind this. It wasn't just a guy who like, oh yeah, dude, I'm gonna make some of this cool stuff to get poop and pee out of it, or a knockoff of somebody else, right? It's its own formula that they came up with, and it actually does work really good. I actually use it for tons of other stuff as well. Stains out of carpets just with food and all kinds of stuff. So it's actually a great all around product. But came out with it for pets. Works really good. And yeah, they came to us. These guys had heard about us, heard we were doing some good things, reached out to me. When they first came to us, they were spending around, I want to say, around $2,000 to $3,000 a month on ads. We're kind of had hit a plateau, didn't really know where to go, and then they hired us. So we came in and helped them out.
So talk about the process a little bit when they first come on. Testing, and because I know there's a lot of elements from images to the copy to calls to action.
Yeah. So when they first come on, I mean, we do a pretty extensive onboarding call. It's about an hour where we dive into, we send them some documents beforehand. They fill out avatar information and, what people are interested in, and, all that stuff. And it's a pretty detailed process. And then we kind of come up with ideas for copy and images and creatives. And in this case, obviously we'd been working with them for a while once we got to this case study, and Facebook is the one that wanted that particular image. It wasn't even actually like one of the best performing ads. It was just something that Facebook was like, hey, it's a puppy.
Cute
There's
dog.
pee.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the little boxer, pee next to it with the product, visible. And so at the time, this ad and several others were doing super well. So yeah, I mean, we come up with, for top of funnel ads, so we have a full funnel ad approach that we deploy on everybody's ad accounts. And top of funnel ads, we wrote 4 or 5 different versions of copy, came up with some images. He had a few videos, but at the time he didn't really have that much video content. And a lot of people will say, oh, your ads aren't going to perform well without video. Well, here's a case study showing you that an image is actually just fine. And you can still get great results from just images. Not saying that you shouldn't have video, but you should definitely, a video should be in your repertoire. But if you only have images, start and test it and see what works. So a lot of different facets to how we set up ads, audience segmentation, and how we test daily. And it's actually a very manual process. I've never found a software that can help us actually do the daily optimization like a real person who has a ton of ad experience can do. So pretty interesting that we haven't been able to duplicate that yet. So
talk about the full funnel ad approach. Okay. And what that means. Cause I know in the different parts of the funnel and in some examples.
Yeah. So, I mean, we do a top, middle, and bottom of funnel approach where top of funnel is going to be prospecting people who don't know you or know the brand, don't recognize your brand. Middle of funnel are going to be those people who interacted with your Facebook or Instagram page. It could be a like, a share, a comment, or landing on the homepage of your site and not advancing anywhere else, just kind of surfing around and leaving. And then bottom of funnel are going to be higher intent, viewed a product in the e-commerce world. I guess you could say viewed a product, didn't purchase, didn't add to cart, also added to cart, it did not purchase. And we have different ad copy for every stage of the funnel, top, middle, and bottom, because you're not going to talk to a person who doesn't know the brand the same you would as someone who added to cart who didn't purchase, right? So, and I see a lot of that. One of the biggest things I see when I do audits of different brands and their ad accounts is like they just use the same ad copy over and over and over again, and they wonder why they're not, getting good results. So it's pretty interesting. Even some of these agencies that profess to do all this cool stuff are repeating stuff over and over again. It's pretty crazy. So
yeah, I'm sure you see a lot when you go in and do an audit. What are some of the mistakes you see people making? Obviously, that's one, or just the same ad for everything. Yeah,
or same ad copy or the same images, same videos, not a true A/B testing going on in their ad accounts. Like they could have, a couple different ads, but they're using those all over the place, not segmenting out retargeting properly. Like that middle and bottom of funnel approach is super important because again, you're not going to talk to the person who liked a Facebook post or an ad, right? The same way you would as somebody who viewed a product that showed higher intent. So yeah, I mean, it's crazy because that's one of the biggest mistakes I see is repetitiveness of the ads and not segmenting out those audiences. They'll just put like anybody who landed on any portion of their pages. Well, that's great, but do you want to be really good at this or do you want to be mediocre? So those are probably the two things that I see the most. And the other thing too is sometimes unrealistic expectations can really hurt people. Not spending enough can hurt you as well. Like people are wondering why they're not getting results and their ads are up for $5 a day. Like, dude, that's just not going to work. But people want to limit it no matter how successful it's going. Well, or just in general, right? Like, let's say you're selling a shoe that's $300. Like, you can't expect to get good results spending $5 a day, and you're wanting people to spend $300 on your shoe, right? Like, it's just not going to work. If it may work, you may get some really high return on ad spend if they want to buy, but it's just not realistic to even say, okay, cool, yeah, we're going to spend some money and hopefully $5 a day, and then it's going to take you a year to test all your assets too. So lack of testing is another big one. I'm curious, do you roll things out, Jason, in phases, or does it kind of all at once? Because obviously there's low hanging fruit, like the bottom of funnel. They've clicked on something, they've added to their cart. I'm curious how you suggest to clients, like, okay, let's do this, or let's do bottom build out, because it's a lot of work on your end to like kind of create 50 versions of this stuff. So how do you roll out, or do you do them all at once? No, we usually roll out top of funnel first, because top of funnel is going to feed the machine. Yes, there's low hanging fruit, but without top of funnel in place, that low hanging fruit's going to dry up and it's going to die, right? So we do top of funnel first, and then once we have top of funnel in place for a couple weeks, then we get middle and bottom of funnel retargeting campaigns up. But we also don't, like, let's say we have inside a campaign, we've got 30 ads, right, that we want to test. You also cannot turn all those on at one time. It's a very segmented process, because what Facebook does, and I see this all the time in my audits that I do, is let's say you have 8 ads on inside of a campaign. Facebook will really only latch on to 1 or 2 of those and give those all the budget, all the love. They may not even be a good ad that people are clicking on. It's just Facebook's going to latch on to 2 of those ads, 1 or 2 of them. And it's just funny. I'll go and audit someone's account and I'll see 8 ads on and 2 of them are getting all the love. But that's not really an A/B test, right? What a true A/B test is you turn 2 on, let them run, get some traffic. You turn off the underperforming ad, turn on the next one, right? And you just repeat that until you run through all your ads. And at the end of that process, you say, okay, we had 30 ads we tested. These 2 ads did the best. Let's do more of that, right? Then you go back to the drawing board, new copy, new creatives, get a refresh going, knowing that, you're going to create assets and ad copy around what's been working. Of course, not exactly like that, but a variation. And that's how you A/B test. You can't just turn it all on and hope Facebook will figure it out, because it's not Facebook's job to figure it out. It's your job as the advertiser. So,
yeah. I mean, I've heard stories where, people have done this on Google and Facebook and they just end up spending a lot of money.
And they get pissed off. They're like, Facebook doesn't work. I'm like, oh, Facebook works. You just gotta know how to make it work. That's why I say, like, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. If you look at our 2 Facebook published case studies, 2 complete different industries, right? Health coaching and the pet industry, like, not even related in at all. One was a service for consumers to get them in better health and to teach them how to make money doing this. And one of them was an e-commerce brand in the pet industry, like not even related at all. So, and we got them great results.
I'm curious, Jason, even some of the top direct response marketers, copywriters in the world, you put something in front of them, a headline, and they're all disagree on it. And they, I'm curious if there's, it doesn't have to be with Furry Freshness, but any in the past that you're like, oh my God, this image is creative. It's going to kill it. It's going to do amazing. And then doesn't.
That happens all the time, and it's funny. It's always the one that you like the least that tends to like do the best. It's crazy how that happens actually. And it's like, I'll be like, man, there's this one image out of 10 that I really like. I think this one's going to kill it. And it's always the freaking image that you're like, you didn't even notice, right? You're like, oh, it's a good image, right? But I don't think people are going to click on that one as much. And sure enough, it's always that one image or those 2 images that you didn't pay much attention to. It's pretty crazy how that happens.
That's why testing is so important. And do you remember one of those examples where you're like, oh my, we don't even need to test this. This is just going to be the best. And then, I'm curious, when you reverse engineer, like maybe why it didn't work. That obviously leads to other things that would.
Well, so perfect example is Furry Freshness, right? So what we found was their avatar tended to be a little bit older. I would say 45 plus, right? More female focused, right? With these like maybe older ladies who have pets, who their kids are gone and they're empty nesters and they want some sort of companionship. And so what we first noticed was that like these animated images worked pretty well, right? But then we figured, you know what? Let's go ahead and they're not going to work, but let's go in and throw in some real pictures of dogs like the one in the case study, right? And we'll test it. But the majority of what's been working in the past has been kind of these animated images. So that image, and there was another image of a dog too that was like kind of his head down and it pooped in the house and was kind of like, you know, kind of ashamed of what it did, right? I knew it was wrong or something, you know, whatever. And these two ended up being the best performers, and the animated images almost kind of got faded out. It was so weird. But So you never really know. And that's why you want to A/B test, is because what worked 3 months ago may not work, 3 months into the future with a lot of this stuff. So that's why you got to keep it fresh, keep testing different things. So it's pretty crazy. So
I'm curious, Jason, if Furry Freshness or others, what are the common questions they have for you going into this? Because like you said, they probably were spending a couple $1,000s and then eventually they end up ramping up. But what questions they have from you early on?
Yeah. I mean, early on is, do you think this is going to work? Do you think I can scale my business? What kind of return on ad spend do you think we're going to get? All those are very, they're important questions, but, marketing is one of those things too, where we can have a target that we're shooting towards, but sometimes it doesn't happen. Other times you blow it out of the water. We can only base the answer to those questions sometimes off of what's been done in the past. And hopefully we can improve on that. But yeah, that's mainly the main thing. And then, how does your team work? Like, are we getting updates? Like what's going to go on there? We do send weekly reports to all of our clients, which are pretty detailed, which are pretty cool. And you can look at a lot of cool stuff on our reports. But mainly I would say 90% is, what's my return on ad spend going to be? And the other big one, of course, is how much do we need to spend to make this worth it? But that's also kind of a loaded question because you don't really know until you start spending. So
I'm wondering your thoughts from the e-commerce perspective on bundles and what you've seen work with bundles. Because I know like buying 1, 3, 6 bottles or whatever, because I know you do nutritional supplements as well.
Yeah.
What's working and not working? And I'm talking generally, obviously, it depends, but what from the bundle perspective?
Yeah, I mean, if you can get bundles to work, so I went to a Facebook training, I don't know, about 4 or 5 months ago, and there was a stat in there that really caught my attention, and the presenter said that they've seen in the data that they've collected that if a person buys a bundle as their first purchase from your brand, they're 80% more likely to come back and purchase again a second time after that bundle runs out or whatever,
Because some people will think, oh, I don't want to sell a bundle. They'll have too much supply. I mean, I'm thinking counterintuitively to that, which is, well, I don't want to send them 3 because then they maybe not order again. They won't use it up. But you're saying their metrics, Facebook or Meta or whatever is saying that's not the case.
Well, it also depends on what type of product you have too, right? Like we've got a client that sells a very expensive like sleep machine that you put underneath your bed. You wear like this watch and it tracks your sleep. It's supposed to help you fall asleep. It's like $2,500, right? Something like that. If we bundled, let's say, I don't know, like a free software subscription, like you're not really a bundle's not going to work, right? But Furry Freshness, supplements especially, anything that they consume that's going to run out, you should really be trying to push some type of bundle, take maybe a little bit of a hit on the first purchase, knowing that bundle purchaser is 80% more likely to come back and purchase from you again. As a business owner, I'd probably take a little bit of a hit to get them in, get them to buy that bundle, knowing that they're going to come back again, right? I mean, that's a very high percentage, like very high. So pretty interesting with that stat. That's why my ears perked up when I heard that. And I was like, wait, are you serious? Like, there's no way that data is right. And they were like, yeah, it is actually. So pretty cool.
Are there brands that you follow just to see what they're doing online from a marketing perspective? I just like going in sometimes and purchasing stuff and seeing what they do, or just going to their site. Specifically, I'm thinking of like protein bar companies, ones that know what they're doing. Are there any brands that you follow just to see how they're marketing?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, if I'm gonna have let's say a discovery call or an onboarding call with a brand, I'm gonna go out and see what their competitors are doing. I may not know exactly what competitors are out there, but what I tend to do is I will I will go to Facebook ads library and I'll type in what I think is the closest, thing to their competitors. Like in the pet industry, I may, type in like, pet spray to get poop and pee out of carpets, right? And it'll take that information. A lot of ads will pop up. So we try to do a lot of research on that. But yeah, I mean, there are brands obviously that I love. I'm, big motorcycle guy and wakeboarder, wake surfer. So I follow a lot of brands there, but specifically the ones that are coming to us for help. You got to be ready. Now, the only disclaimer that I'll say with looking at ads or Facebook ads library is you don't know exactly how much they're spending, right? They could be spending $5,000 a month. They could be spending $100,000 a month. But I will tell you this, I've been doing this long enough to look in ads library, depending on how many ads are up and how they're doing, and I'll click on them and click around. I can get a pretty good ballpark of how much they're spending based on how many ads they have up. And I can also get a pretty good idea if they have an agency, if they're doing it in-house. There's some things that I look for. But yeah, I mean, we try to be as relevant as possible when it comes to that. But we also don't pigeonhole ourselves into thinking, okay, Furry Freshness is direct competitors running these type ads. We got to do that, right? Like we don't also want to run the same exact ads that a competitor is doing. We want to be better. We want to make them look better. We want those click-through rates to be better. So we're not pigeonholing ourselves and thinking small in the aspect of, okay, let's copy them and funnel hack them and do all that stuff. Like, no, you want to do your own thing and make sure that it's like an agency when we come in, like you don't even know how many times, and actually this is currently happening to us right now, and I won't mention any names, but like they cancel, go to another agency, and we still have access to their ad account. You go look, and the other agency's running all of our old ads. You're like, really, bro? Like, we don't do that. We turn off all their ads or let them run for a bit, create all new assets, create everything new from our agency because we think, not that we're better, but we want to do different things, right? So it's pretty funny how that happens. And I just got an email from a client the other day saying, hey, we want to come back. And I'm like, should I even take you back? You thought the grass was going to be greener, you wanted this big agency that is an all-in-one that, say they do all these cool things, but they're not very good at one thing, so pretty interesting how that works. So
any brands, Jason, you want to give a shout out to that you love that people should check out? I mean, it could be, obviously your own interest, but I'm just curious.
I mean, man, their Fuel Forever is actually a brand that we're going to be, since you're a protein bar guy, Fuel Forever is a new brand that we're going to be working with. They're out of LA. That, a lot of cool stuff in their bars. Very, very healthy.
Is it Fuel with the number 4?
Yes. Fuel ever? 4, okay. The number 4 ever. Yeah. I'm
just going to pull it up.
And actually they sent me a box, and man,
I'll work for protein bars. I don't even
exactly right. But they have some other stuff. They've got, some sleep stuff, and they've got, a few different things, which are pretty cool. I really enjoy their protein bars. I got to get my hands on some of their sleep stuff, but yeah, and they're actually rebranding right now. So this will all be different, but, yeah, super, super awesome. Their bars are delicious, and they're full of collagen and a few different things. So pretty cool there, what they're doing. Of course, Fox Racing is they're my gear people for motocross. So go there. Nautique boats are the best boats in the business. So I follow them as well. And, just a couple different brands that
is this Fox Racing? This is Fox Racing.
Yeah, that's them. Yeah. They're awesome.
What do you get from them?
Well, you'll see the guy sitting on the motorcycle there on the left. So that all the gear, that's what I get: boots, gear, helmet, goggles, like all that stuff, gloves. Yeah, so I get all of their stuff. So shout out to those guys. They're also a California-based company, and which is getting harder and harder to be a California-based company for sure. But Fox has been, my tried and true. They make great stuff too, super high quality, and I really like their gear. Not all the colors are my jam, but but yeah, super cool.
I love it. Well, I'm gonna have to check out Fuel Forever. So thanks for
you should.
that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'll have once we kind of get going with them, I'll have to have them on the podcast, and then we'll talk a little more in detail about what they're doing.
Their ingredients look really clean.
Very clean. And actually, they both, he's actually a nurse, and his wife, is very heavy in the nutrition space. And they both had some health issues. And they were like, man, we can't find a freaking protein bar with like no natural flavors and seed oils and all that stuff. And so, they're like, you know what, we're going to come out with our own. So yeah,
I knew theirs would be good because, on here, I can't remember where it is. Maybe it's on this. It says something like no sugar alcohols and no, it's on one of these descriptions here. So I know when they're like, none of this, it's going to be good. And you can see their ingredients are pretty clean.
Pretty awesome. Yeah. Cause a lot of these bars taste good, but the ingredients, you look at the ingredients and there's like a 90 different things in there. You're like, bro, like, yeah, and don't get me wrong. I did not always eat well, really trying to eat better these days, but yeah, you should check them out. Buy a box. Actually, I think, let's see. I believe they're in Sprouts. And they're in a couple of stores. Yeah, they're on Amazon. Yeah, but they're
oh, here it is. It's right here. No fillers, no sugar alcohol, sucralose, saccharin, aspartame, preservatives, blah blah blah. Yeah.
Yep. And I actually told them that should be a little bigger because that's a big deal now. A lot of people are really paying attention to those ingredients. So, but yeah, so they're going to be rebranding and excited to work with them. I think it'll be really cool. They'll be launching their ads in July, so it'll be pretty fun to see how that goes. But
well, I'm going to check it out. They at least got a buyer from this episode.
Awesome.
But Jason, first of all, thank you. Thanks for sharing your knowledge. I always love to hear your take. Obviously, people can check out spotlightsocialadvertising.com. You can contact them if you have questions. And if you have suggestions of guests, let them know.
Yes.
Or if you just have questions about dominating Meta, Facebook, Pinterest, or any of the social channels, you can let them know.
Heck yeah. Cool. All right, Jeremy. Well, thanks. Appreciate it, man. See ya.
Thank you for listening to the podcast. We'll see you again next time. Be sure to subscribe to get future episodes.